Drake fans real quiet this week. What up, world? It's your boy Charles Brown back again for another Talking Facts. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit that notification bell. All right, so guess what? Guess what? It's low key real quiet right now. And listen, I ain't trying to start nothing right now. I'm just trying to be honest. I'm back off vacation. We just got back from a cruise, went to Belize, went to Mexico, and we went to Honduras. It's beautiful. Blessed. We blessed. God is good. And I just got back. I saw the album drop out of nowhere. Honestly, Never Mind by Drake. After a very, very contentious month or so of a lot of Kendrick bashing about numbers, about he's no longer in the top five talk. I saw a lot of really disrespectful tweets from a lot of really disrespectful people, basically saying Kendrick flopped and don't put his name in the same lane with Drake no more. Drizzy Drake, right? Just very just obnoxious, just really, really, really unnecessary, right? A lot of Drake fans was gloating. A lot of Drake fans were very happy. They were saying that it was whiny music and nobody wanted to hear all that basically simping, all this not really simping, but just being all therapeutic. Right? They were like, nobody wanna hear that. Let me go put back on my old Drake and I'm gonna listen to some real rap, right? Real music. Right? It was very harsh. Kendrick was in Ghana. I hope he didn't hear all that nonsense because Kendrick did. I believe he ended up doing. I think the initial before anything even popped, before the album even dropped, the initial projections was something like 500,000. They were giving this thing a half a mil. I mean, yeah, this thing was going to blow. Then, as it started to get closer to the date, he dropped the Hard Part 5, and it got a little closer to the date, and the pre-sales, I guess, started to kick in. They started to dumb that down, right? It started to go down to 350,000. And then, like a day or two later, it went down to 250,000. Actually, no, I think it went to 290. I'm sorry. And then it ended up being, when it really was all counted out, they started saying 230, something like that, 230, 240, something like that. 240,000, which is a monster. That's a monster, right? That is a monster compared to what the rappers are really doing. If a rapper do 90 now, he's a freaking star, right? But Kendrick did 230, 240, something like that, which is, he had the most streams. I think he broke the record of history. And I think he had all of his songs on the album were in the top 100, which is unheard of. I think only three other people did that in history. And the album was doing monster sales, monster streams, and everything, but it didn't do what the last one did, which was like 615,000 when it dropped. But he dropped CDs with it, and they counted it. They counted it all. They dropped some merch with it, so it was a whole thing. So all these numbers came in. A lot of stuff Billboard has changed. You can't tie this in with that, or they're not going to count it at all. Just like Kanye's last release. He dropped, I believe, Donda, and I think he wrapped it in some merch or something, and they disqualified the whole thing. They're getting really serious about this because a lot of people are complaining about the numbers. Like a lot of people are saying, "How you gonna?" Prince started it. Prince was the one was like, "I can buy." They buying my shirts and my jackets and whatever. So throw a CD in there. That's a sale. So he started throwing the CDs in there with the clothes. Maybe he marked it up, or maybe he didn't. I don't know. He marked it up to add it for that CD, but you got a CD with every single merchandise purchase. It started making him do millions of sales, and they had to count it, right? They didn't want to count it. They really wanted to blackball Prince in a lot of ways, right? Because he was bucking against ownership from labels. He was bucking against a lot of stuff, and he was making a lot of noise about artists' fair treatment. So they wanted to blackball him, in my opinion, right? Not even in my opinion, a lot of it's fact. Prince had to come up with a lot of creative ways to keep his name relevant in this business, right? So he's the first one that started doing merch with CDs. Then everybody started doing. A lot of people figured it out. A lot of rappers teams, a lot of PR teams, and this and that. They started figuring out management teams. Oh, we could stick the CD. Da da da. Nicki Minaj did it. She's one of the last people to do it in a major way that actually counted because when she did it, she ended up losing that number one spot because that's when they first decided they were going to stop counting it. It was a whole controversy. I think it was her versus somebody. I don't know who she went up head to head. I don't know who it was, but she ended up going head to head with some. I think it was a singer. It might have been Ariana Grande or something. I don't know. And she ended up losing that number one spot over some controversy about the merch. Therefore, the merch started being funny, and they started wavering back and forth. Are we going to count it? Are we not going to count it? So now they like at this point, I think the last person that got completely all of their stuff wiped out was Kanye. I think before him they did it to Tekashi. They wiped all his sales out because of the merch. So that's why Kendrick's numbers were so huge. So he didn't do that this time. He didn't release no CDs till after about a week or so after he dropped the physical. He didn't do no physicals until he dropped the project digitally. So with all that being said, his numbers were off. They weren't as major as they were predicting, and they weren't as major as they were the first time because the first time when he dropped Damn, he actually beat Drake. I believe Drake dropped Certified Lover Boy, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Don't freaking get all crazy. But I believe he beat him. It was the upset of it was Ali, and you know what I'm saying. It was Ali in the Garden. It was he beat the gorilla. You know what I'm saying. He beat the gorilla in Manila. Like he beat him. He beat Drake. It was no reason he could have. No way he should have beat him, but he did. Right. It was a hooray. Everybody was like, you know what I'm saying. The underdog. You know whatever. Only people didn't like that was Drake fans. Right. So they held on to that. That's 5 years ago. Right. Actually, no, he didn't go get certified. Certified Lover Boy beat was after that, I believe. End of the day, whatever project Drake had last, Kendrick dropped Mr. Morale and the Hot Steppers. I mean the Big Steppers. And it didn't do the numbers to beat Drake's last project. So all of the fanboys came out of nowhere. Hooray! Oh, this guy's washed, right? This guy just made more in the first day of this album release, right? Than these guys. You can put all of them together, and it wouldn't match the one of the singles that the money they made. But they're happy, quote unquote, that he somehow in some way failed at life because he didn't pass Drake's last release totals, right? It was a lot of talk about the album wasn't hot. It wasn't what people wanted. The streets didn't want. This is from certain people because most people I knew love the album. But you're not going to get a major release that's going to do these numbers without you name one album that's going to come out without somebody online talking about it's trash. It's going to always be that person. It's going to always have somebody talking about something's trash no matter what it is, right? If you're doing 250,000 units on any release, it's going to be people online talking about it's trash. It doesn't matter who the artist is. People was online saying 444 was trash. So it's like it doesn't matter what the artist is. Somebody gonna call it. People saying Certified Lover Boy was trash. You know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say, people gonna talk, but what they're not talking about seems to be very quiet, right? And again, I'm not trying to stir up nothing, but it's very, very quiet now. I haven't seen many posts, right? A lot of people calling Drake album trash, but they're not reverting back to what they said about Kendrick. Right? They had all these reasons. They were like, I hear all these excuses. It was a lot of people. I hear all these excuses for Kendrick flopping. I don't hear that energy for Drake when he dropped and only did 200. The projections for Drake is on pace to do 210 to 230, which means he did equal, if not less, because I believe Kendrick ended up at 256, I believe. Something like that. He lost. If we going by numbers, if we taking all the excuses off the table, like they was saying all last week and the week before, I don't want to hear these excuses. Kendrick lost. We were like, well, he was doing more of a think piece. It was a therapeutic release. He wasn't going for sales. They didn't care about none of that. They didn't want to hear it. They were like, I don't want to hear nothing. This guy can't beat Drake. He can't stand in the lane with Drake. We need to stop putting his name in. Yada yada yada. It was a whole lot of talk about why Kendrick need to be taken out of that top list of rappers. It was a lot of talk. And then guess what happened? See, this is how God works. God works funny. And he was like, you know what? I'm gonna have Drake put out an album, and it's gonna be completely different than what everybody think it's gonna be. Drake put out a whole house album with one rap song at the end, and people lost their mind. Divided down the middle. You got all the house fans coming out of nowhere. Now they got a whole lot to say about Drake, right? You just don't know house. You don't know Baltimore house. You don't know modern house. Like everybody's running to the house side of it. All the house heads are all in the, they love, hooray. Like they're all in agreement. They're all in accordance with this whole album. Honestly, never mind, right? And I got a whole album review coming up next. That's going to be my next video. I'm going to review the album. But right now, the house heads, hooray, hooray, we got a house head, we got a house album. Drake is putting the house back on the map. I even saw some dudes beefing that they wasn't on it and this and that. Just, why you going to go get this guy and you ain't get me? Whatever, right? Whole lot of nonsense. But you're not hearing that these sales did less than Kendrick. So by your standards, did he lose? Or did he drop a house album and it doesn't count all of a sudden? By my standards, because I'm watching what everybody's saying, nobody's giving you excuses. Right? Nobody's making excuses. You dropped an album. What it do? What it sell? They don't care if it's an opera album. They don't care if it's classical. They like, what it sell? Academics, the first one throwing up first week numbers. He do it every time somebody, first week, projected to sell, Coil Ray is projected to sell 11,000 units in the first, all day. It's one sentence. It's not two or three. It's one sentence. Academics does it every week. He puts one sentence out. Meek Mill is projected to, and he'll write whatever, and that's it. It's no excuses. It ain't no reasons. It ain't no conversation. It's a one sentence post, tweet, hit, send, it's gone. So now, what's the numbers? Did he lose or he won? Right? If we not talking about no album Drake dropped 2 years ago and 3 years ago like they did to Kendrick. They was going back 2, 3, 4 years ago to an album that came out a long time ago, saying, oh, this is what he did last time and this is what he's supposed to do now, and blah, 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 blah. The market changes. And everything ain't the same as what it used to be. And Kendrick ain't playing the same game that Drake is playing. They not playing the same game. Kendrick don't go in the studio and be like, let me make a hit today, because all his songs will be about girls, like Drake says, right? He's not playing the same game, but they didn't care. They didn't care about that. But Kendrick ain't come out in 5 years. This album should be better. Like, we don't care about none of that. Kendrick had writer's block for 2 years. We don't care. Everybody get writer's block. We don't care what it sell. So now we right back. It's beautiful because this what karma does, right? This what karma comes back around. Karma swing down the block, it come back. Now we right there. Drake dropped an album a few weeks later, which I'm sure they thought would have did. If you sight unseen, they would have said, if Drake gonna drop a surprise album, what it's gonna do? Oh, it's gonna do 30, 40, 400. It's gonna do crazy. It's gonna do 300,000, 400,000. And that's lowballing. Probably do 5. If you would have asked the typical fan, right? It didn't do that. I'm looking at the numbers right now. It did 210 to 230. It lost badly, if you want to ask some people. Now, put it like this. This is the biggest artist in the world, and he can't even get 250. If you're going to minimalize it. So let's say we talking about numbers. He just lost. Now, is he not the greatest rapper no more? I hear a lot of people, oh, he's an entertainer. Well, he's not the greatest entertainer because he lost. So, end of the day, it's very, very hush-hush. I don't hear it. I hear conversation about the album being good or bad. It ain't no more. They're not doubling back to give Kendrick the props that he just put out an album that sold more than him, and he ain't even doing music like him. He ain't even trying to do stuff for ladies. He doing introspective, healing music. Conscious music that ain't supposed to sell, and he outsold him with that. So let's talk about it. If Drake wouldn't have dropped that album, we wouldn't have no conversation. Drake dropped that album. Ain't no excuses. He lost. So I want to talk about that. Give my comments and tell me what you think about that. Did Drake lose? Can you still keep comparing these two? Is Drake even a rapper? Is Kendrick a rapper? Let me know what you think in the comments, because I ain't hearing a lot of stuff. I didn't hear nothing. Buddy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start figuring out who was doing what and who was saying what. Because a lot of people was very, very braggadocious and had a lot to say, and I don't hear them no more. All right? Go down in my links. I got a couple advertisements now that I need y'all to check out. Help a channel out so we can keep it moving around here. You know what I'm saying? CLBMG.com. Check it out every Wednesday, 8 p.m. We got Clash the Podcast. It's getting bigger. It's growing. Me, Dante, Fliz, and TJ. It's called Clash the Rap Podcast. And we go live on several different platforms at the same time every Wednesday. It's all rap. We talked about Drake last week, and this week coming up going to be even crazier. It's becoming to be a good thing. So check that out. Let me know what you think. I'm going to catch you on the flip side. Go in the comments. Let you know your boy knows something. Peace.
CLB.